You belong on every ground your feet grace, so don't ever feel out of place. Take up space and belong. This earth is your birthplace. Okay, so I was supposed to do this book review in December during Christmas time, but I never did it. But at the same time, it still was one of those stories that I felt like I wanted to review, even though it's not Christmas no more. I feel like you could read this book anytime because it wasn't necessarily Christmas centered. It just happened around Christmas time. Okay, so the name of it is A Jolly Polly Christmas in Chicago, and it's between Cooper and uh, what was his wife name? Jamie. Okay, Jamie, Jamie and Cooper is this married couple. Cooper is this multi-million-dollar business owner, and Jamie, I think she was I have to put. I don't think it was. It was either a lawyer or advertisement PR, something like that. She did something like that, or whatever. But she ended up becoming a stay-at-home wife. Once Cooper's business got like off the ground or whatever. So the book starts with Jamie. I think she started off masturbating when the book started off, and she talked about how she was deprived of sex because her husband worked so much that he didn't really have time to like romance her, have sex with her, and stuff like that. So I'm thinking at first read, oh, she about to cheat on that nigga. That's the first thing I thought. Oh, she finna cheat. But to my surprise, they ended up having sex, and he ended up getting an injury on his penis. Didn't know that you could break a penis or whatever, but Jamie definitely did what she did to break it. Didn't know that was a thing. But he ended up having an injury where he couldn't have sex with her for a while. So she was like sexually frustrated, like bored out of her mind, whatever. So Cooper's little brother Caleb ends up getting out of prison. He did like a, was it 10 years sentence, something along those lines. And he comes home, and when he comes home, his brother has like the life made for him. His brother is a multi-million-dollar CEO of a company. His brother, put some money aside from him, so when he get out, he came home to money and his brother's lonely wife. Okay, so while Jamie is trying to get Cooper to pay her some attention, Caleb enters the picture, and he's bringing up all of these feelings that she's having. Really lust. It was mostly lust. She didn't really like love him. I feel like she ended up loving him, but not to that extent. But like, so Cooper comes home and so Jamie and Caleb are like together alone. They're enjoying each other's company, talking, listening to music. Then they get to dancing. They get to dancing, and they start like dancing with each other, grinding on each other's stuff or whatever, until Cooper walks into the room. Like, oh, y'all are having a grand old time up in here. Don't let me stop y'all fun. Don't let me stop the show. And he like cut a little bit of jokes. The two of them were embarrassed. The whole thing broke up. But Cooper didn't seem like he was really sweating it. He just, oh, that was kind of cute. That was cute. Like, so he comes up with this idea to allow his wife permission to have sex with his little brother. But that's not all. See, Cooper spends a lot of time in the office, and his assistant Brichet just so happens to be a fine, thick black woman who he has tried all his years of working with her to keep his hands to himself, keep his mind off of her, and all of these things. But you can see a little romance between the two of them. You can see that Brichet really likes him, and you can see them trying to fight those feelings. So what ends up happening is Cooper comes up with an idea. How about I allow my wife to have sex with my brother since you're so sexually frustrated and I got this injury. I can't really use it for real, for real. And Jamie is like, okay, cool. But then she also comes up with an idea as well. How about, since you gonna give me your brother, I'm gonna go ahead and let you have a relationship with your assistant. I see the way you look at Brishay, and if I'm being honest, I would love a little bit of her too. So, let's just open this thing up. Your brother, Brishay, you, me, what could go wrong? And I'm not gonna lie, the whole time I was reading the book, I was like, this is not gonna work. I kept thinking that it wasn't gonna work, and I was never soothed of those thoughts. It actually worked. They actually had an open relationship where it was the two brothers, the assistant, and Cooper's wife, Jamie or whatever. They had this open relationship. Brishay and Jamie messed around. Like, there was a lot of fluids being shared and swapped and all of these things. But not only that, but it actually helped them to build better emotional connections as well. Cooper had the money, so rich people live a little different than those of us who don't got money like that. They live a little different. They're able to expand their horizons and do different things that we may not be able to do. Okay, so they create this relationship, and it takes a while for everybody to become comfortable with it. But basically, Cooper was one of those husbands that just wanted to make his wife happy. Everything Jamie wants, Jamie got. She wanted Brishay, she got Brishay. She wanted Caleb, she got Caleb. She allowed Cooper to have relationships with Brishay, and Cooper allowed her to have relationships with his brother. But it ends up with Brishay and Caleb getting married. At first, they were very hesitant to try and build a connection because they didn't really. They were the two in the situation that was out of the norm. Like, they didn't know what to do really, and Jamie and Cooper did their best to guide them and like allow them the space and freedom to grow into the relationship however they saw fit, whether that was just sex or if they wanted to have a serious relationship. And also, even though Cooper really loved Jamie and his love for her didn't change, it wasn't that she wasn't enough for him. He wanted to make her happy, and he also did have feelings for his assistant. So, even though he was in love with his wife, he still had the capacity to love Brishay. It wasn't like he was tired of her and he wanted something different. It never gave that. It just gave that they loved each other to this extent that they were willing to share each other with these people that they trusted. And so they developed this poly relationship. Of course, it was Christmas themed. They ended up having an office party for Christmas because Jamie ended up throwing it. She was bored. Jamie really was bored. She was bored, and her husband wasn't really home. So he thought, instead of depriving my wife of this love and affection that she could be getting, I'm gonna open the doors to allow her to get it. Because I understand that she's bored. I'm not able to, step away as much from the business, or he didn't want to at the time. But eventually he ended up doing that. But it was a healthy poly relationship. It wasn't a situation where, a person just wanted their cake and eat it too. They just wanted to have somebody to sleep with on the side. But no, they really cherished their relationships with each other and their other partners. Brishay and Caleb ended up developing a deeper connection. They ended up getting married. Of course, Jamie and Brishay ended up having babies, and like they became a family. There was a point in the book where they had the Christmas party, and Brishay's sister and mom came to the Christmas party. And when she came, I think the mama was being very judgmental and stuff like that. And Brishay and Cooper was having a moment, and Brishay's mom was judging her and like telling her she was disgusting for sleeping with a married man. But Jamie and Cooper and Caleb clocked her real quick and got her in check and was like, look, she not sleeping with my man. I'm sleeping with her. She's sleeping with my man, and she's sleeping with my brother-in-law, and so am I. Like, they just told all of their business, and the mama was disgusted. And Briche ends up leaving because, of course, this is new to her, so she's not really used to the way that people are going to react when they hear you're in a situation like that. So she left, and she ends up getting into a car accident that puts her into a coma. Cooper, Jamie, and Caleb never left her side. They wanted to be there for her when she woke up. When she did finally wake up, um, it was Christmas Day, so they opened gifts and they had like a little moment. And she pretty much was like, I love y'all for the way that y'all had my back, but don't y'all ever in y'all life talk to my mama the way that y'all did. It wasn't cool. And even though she was in the wrong, don't y'all ever talk to my mama like that. And so there was an understanding. They understood, okay, cool, we gonna have your back, but we also, you're right, we took it a little too far. And then, from there on, this also took place in Chicago. From that moment on, they just kind of like settled into their relationship. It was a short story, if I'm not mistaken. They settled into their relationship, and like in the epilogue, it showed them having kids together. And I think both Briche and Jamie was pregnant, and they also had kids that they already had or whatever. It basically was just showing how well their relationship was doing and how it had progressed, and how none of what they were doing messed up the relationships that they built with each other. And it showed a positive example of a poly relationship. I kind of feel like when most people talk about poly relationships, it's usually men. They usually want multiple women, but they don't want those women to also have the option of having multiple partners. But in this book, the women could do as they please as long as it was within the circle. Of course, when you start adding more and more people, then that's when it gets messy. But the fact that they were able to create that environment in their family and it worked for them. I actually admire when people are able to have healthy poly relationships, because there's so many examples of toxic non-monogamous relationships. The Nick Cannons, the what his name is, Russell Westbrook, the niggas like that who think that dating multiple women and getting them pregnant is what poly is, and it's not. You're creating broken families. The difference between that and actually having a poly relationship where you have multiple women in your life is you are supposed to live in one household. You're supposed to be the head of that one household, not 10 different households with 10 different women who don't know nothing about each other. They don't have no type of relationship with each other. And honestly, a lot of times they are pitted against each other because men are doing it just to feed their ego. But in this situation, it wasn't an ego thing. It was, I want everybody in my life to be happy, and I want them to have the space to have the type of relationship that they want. And I liked it. I loved the book. It was a short read, but I really liked it. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was a dope way to incorporate poly relationships. And it didn't disappoint. The sex scenes, the storyline, it didn't have to be a really deep story for you to like get into it and really be invested. It didn't have to be deep. It was very lighthearted, and it was just a very lighthearted way to show poly relationships, and I really liked it. So I definitely recommend to anybody who, even if you a monogamous person, I just kind of feel like it's a good read. You don't have to apply what they did to your life. You could just read it. It's fun. It's entertaining, and it also shows a healthy example of a poly relationship. Now, if you like stories where you have multi-millionaire, billionaire brothers who share women, I have a series called Too Monogamous where I explore poly relationships as well. And I do it through the relationship of these twins, and my purpose wasn't necessarily to explore a poly relationship, basically to entertain the idea that twins share feelings, and maybe the feelings that they share could cause them to fall in love with the same woman, can fall in love with the same person. Because in my book is two guys that are twins. I should do it from a girl's point of view, right? That would be kind of cool. But yeah, so if you like stories like A Jolly Poly Christmas, where it explores poly relationships, I do have a series called the Two Monogamous series, where I explore the idea of twin telepathy, the way that they share feelings, thoughts, and even physical pains and stuff like that, and to kind of determine that connection and how it could probably make them fall in love with the same people. And I drew from real life experiences without making it about that specific experience, because if you ask my family, it's about them, but it's not. Like, is the idea inspired by the things that I saw growing up? Yes. But I just thought that it was an interesting way to explore twin relationships, connections, twin telepathy, and also poly relationships. Now, in my story, the Double D twins, they go through a long journey before they end up in a poly relationship. Because they had people coming after the woman that they both loved, so they kind of had to fight for her before they realized maybe we should just have this open relationship, and everybody can, like, all of us can get a little piece of her in every way. And it's not necessarily physically, a lot of the times it's emotional connections and stuff like that. Not necessarily that everybody is sleeping around with each other. Are there people that sleep around with each other? Yes, but not everybody, and that's not the focus of the story. But if y'all like stories like that, definitely check out my Two Monogamous series. I'll put all of the links in the description, and I'll also put it on the screen. But go check out A Jolly Poly Christmas. I know it's not Christmas, but it's definitely a story that you can read any time of the year.
After her divorce from Quincy, Jera moves to Chicago to work for her college best friend, Teresa Martin, at her magazine. Teresa introduces Jera to Dustin Vargas to help her get over Quincy, but places her in a sticky situation. The Vargas twins live a secret life that ends up getting Jera caught up when their past comes back to haunt them. A war ensues to get revenge and gain Jera's love until she finally puts an end to it. Check out the Two Monogamous series at srgrahamwrites.org.
Before you go, check out my website at srgrahamwrites.org and subscribe to my mailing list to get exclusive updates on works in progress, other news, and blog posts. Thank you.